The Unreal Engine 4 editor, which we can see here, is going to be our default interface for working with the engine and our projects. So this is our default layout. I've created a project and we're going to go ahead and cover the layout using this project. As we can see here, we have a few different windows. On the left, we have our modes window. This is where we can add some items quickly. We can work with like our landscape and our geometry. At the top, we have our main toolbar. This is where we can do things like saving our current project, going into plain editor mode, and then also testing the project out. In the middle, we have our viewport. This is our main viewport into our map so we can see what we're working with. At the bottom, we have our content browser. Basically, think of this as our file explorer for our assets inside of our project. Top right, we have our world outliner. This is an overview of all the individual items we have inside of this level. And then at the bottom, we have our details panel. And this is where we can see the individual parts for our items that we've clicked on so we can adjust them if needed. Now, the default layout is customizable. Everything in here is a window. We can move a window by clicking on the tab and dragging it and dropping it wherever we want it. We can resize windows by clicking on the dividers between windows and moving them to where we want them. We can hide the tab. So for example, I like where the content browser is. I can right click and hide the tab, and now it's going to collapse it. Or we can click on that little arrow, unhide the tab, and then that will allow us to move it to the new spot. Now if we get to the point where we've moved things around and we don't really like it, we want to go back to defaults, we can go to Window, Reset Layout. After it saves, it's going to go ahead and reset the project and put our layout back to the defaults. Now there are a few hidden things that we have access to that are helpful if needed. In the top right, we have the name of our project, in this case, Editor Overview. We can see the version number of the engine we're using for this project, as well as any branch. So for example, I'm using the launcher version of 4.18, and we can see that here. Next to this, we have a little hat icon. This is for our tutorials. We can click on that, and we're now presented with a list of tutorials. We could, for example, welcome to the editor, and this will walk us through some basics of the editor, like we're covering now. This is useful if you need some quick information for learning a topic you might not know yet. In the top left, we have our more common menu options. We have our file menu. This is where we can load and save assets as well as maps. This is where we get access to things like cooking our content for our project so that we could then package the project into the appropriate platform that we want. Our edit is our undoing, copying, pasting, and duplicating, but also quick access to our preferences and settings, as well as our plugins window for adding and removing plugins to our project. The Windows menu is for Windows. This is where we can get access to things like maybe a duplicate details panel. You can dock this extra one somewhere else and now have two details panels. We have our developer tools, things like our debugging and analyzing systems, as well as our saving and resetting layout options. Finally, we have our help menu. This is where we can get quick access to our documentation, our references, quick links to our answer hub and support forums, and other useful things. Understanding the basic layout is a great way to get started. Up next, we're going to cover the viewport.